Hey there, hope you had an amazing day today, and I hope your week is going well wherever you are. Just know that you're loved, appreciated, seen, heard. And just know that your life is super duper important. Every moment. Because every moment, every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every action is recorded into the book of life. Your memories, your essence, it continues on even after this human flesh goes into the earth. So that's how important you are. Question is do you believe that? Because I believe that. So that's not what I wanted to talk about today, but that was me letting you know how much you're appreciated. And thank you for those of you that watch and listen to my words. Appreciate you. All right, so today I'm going to talk to you about heaven and hell because I had someone in the comments, thank you very much for the comment, talk about heaven and hell being just a mindset. So here's how I'm going to describe it. So life here in the material plane, you believe is real. You believe this flesh is real. You believe that this body is real. You believe that this table is real. You believe that all these things are real. It's true. There is truth to that. This is real. If you want to look at it at the material level. It is also true that it's not real. It's electrons, protons, and neutrons that can be manipulated and changed. But most people can't see the particles because they are stuck in the matrix, in the illusion of just being in the material plane, and this is real. This is all there is, the end all be all. I'm a little different. I do believe that I'm real. I do believe in this human form that I'm in, and I'm grateful for this human form. When I came into this form, into this material plane, I had the mindset that I was this greater essence, angelic energy being that was infinite, that had infinite potential, infinite possibilities, just infinite. I didn't see the finite. I didn't see the limitations of the material plane. It didn't make sense to me. And so I've learned to take on the material perspective and understand, yes, this life that I've lived thus far is real. My memories are real, my emotions are real, my actions are real. Those things did happen. Therefore, they do exist. Therefore, I am real. But at the same time, I have to look at it like, how is it that, for example, when I was 12 years old, I was sitting in my room getting ready to slit my wrist, commit suicide, because I was being bullied so bad at school because of how smart I was. Because I was the new kid, I was tall, I had freckles, I wore glasses at the time, actually real glasses. And I had this mindset that, hey, I'm going to get everybody to like me by being the smartest kid in the class. And so because I believed that I was this greater being, and I had that thought, and I felt that I could do it and knew I could do it, I became the top kid in the class. Which actually did the reverse for me. It got me bullied even more, which put me into an incredible state of depression. On top of that, I had very narcissistic, abusive parents who, in all honesty, had no clue what was going on with me, didn't give two shits, and never communicated with me. So I felt isolated, alone, and I just said, fuck it, I don't want to be here. So I'm sitting on my floor, getting ready to slit my wrist, and this being comes behind my shoulders. And it whispers in my ear, you don't want to do that. And here's why. Because your life, and it starts explaining to me what my life is going to be like and the purpose. And I stop. Years later, this was about 4 years ago, I had a vision of going back in time in that moment and reliving that moment, and realized I was that essence, that angelic essence that was talking to my younger self, that 12-year-old self. How was I able to do that if there's limitations and time here in the material plane? I'm the one that stopped myself from committing suicide. And that's just one example. Now, I also have to take into consideration, because I come from, and everyone comes from, a different state of consciousness, meaning you're not just a physical form. You are an emotional form in a different dimension. Is that dimension coinciding and going on right now? Yes. But does it have a past and a future? Yes. Because if it doesn't, then there's no life. It doesn't exist. Then on top of that, you have a mental state. You have a conscious mind here in your human form that runs your day-to-day. You also have a subconscious mind that runs in the background, that is much greater, holds much more memory, and runs things for you without you even thinking about it, like your breathing, your heartbeat, your blood pumping. It is also my greater self, is my subconscious mind. Is she existing with me in this moment? Yes. Did she exist before I even became a human or a material being? Yes. She has far greater memories. She has far greater knowledge. She has far greater wisdom than me in this physical form understands. So her perspective is real and true too. I am form and formless. I am spirit and I am form. They're not separate. It is all me. This is what Jesus was saying when he said, I and the Father, but really it's God, I and God are one, which is the understanding that all of these aspects of me, even though they reside in different dimensions and they have different capacities and they contain different and more memory, if you will, they're still a part of me and I still can access them. I can go anywhere, anytime. I timeline jump constantly. What does it mean to timeline jump? I just gave you an example. Me going back into time and stopping myself from committing suicide. That's timeline jumping. I create timelines. How can I do all of these things that you don't see as a physical manifestation? Because for most people, they don't even exist. That's not real. That stuff's not real. Can't prove angels. Most people have never seen them. Can't prove spirits. Most people have never seen them. Can't prove ghosts. Most people have never seen them. And they don't want to either because it freaks them out. They are freaked out by the unknown. Don't want to see God because they want to believe, or they do believe, that the unknown, that which they cannot see, sense, or feel, which most people can see, sense, and feel it, but they can't see it with their physical eyes. They don't understand that. That realm, the spiritual realm, if you call it, the astral realm, the ethereal realm, those realms, those dimensions have existed before humans. Humans are a very unique, yes, but a very infantile species. There are aliens out there that have been around for millions of years, that have existed. Some of them almost the beginning of time, well, not time, the beginning of creation, along with the angels. The angels are the first and the creators of this universe. The angels. Let me repeat that. The angels are God's extension, right and left hand of God, that created the universe. God did not create the universe. Why didn't God create the universe? Because God has two kids. The right hand of God and the left hand of God. And then you have Rashael and Namena. And then they created the universe. With the angels and then the souls and then the mortals. Because the humans are immortal. These two have been around and created the universe, so they've been around since the beginning. They're the ones that you read about in the Bible, not God. Not God the Father. It wasn't just God the Father. It was God the Mother and the Father coming together and saying, hey, we're going to create the universe. It's an extension of God. Extension. Still connected, but an extension. God doesn't get involved. God believes in free will. God wants you to choose. Because otherwise, if God is, in essence, doing everything, then it's just God. And then God, again, goes back to its singular perspective, which is it's all just me, which is true. But on the flip side of that, which is where you get life in the material plane, it's also fragmented because then you have individuals. Here's what's so confusing about this shit. Both perspectives are true. Both perspectives are right. This is a perspective universe. Perspective. Which gets into heaven and hell. Heaven and hell have been around for a very long time. Do they exist in the material plane as a place? No. Sorta. I mean, if you want to consider like an experience hell, like jail or being raped and tortured, that's hell. What Jesus went through, that was hell. But hell itself is literally kind of like jail. It's in the spiritual realm. It is a rehabilitation center where entities, once they're done in their mortal body and they go back into the soul or spirit, if they need rehabilitated, they go through hell, and they come in with a written scroll of everything that they want done so that they can try again, try to be a better being, try to do the right thing. Don't do that again. Have I been to that hell and experienced it? These are my experiences, and let me explain my experiences. When I experience things in the spirit, it's like me experiencing things here in the material. Me having a conversation with you is the same conversations I have with angels, deities, aliens, other humans, other beings. Makes no difference. Just because I'm in energy form doesn't mean that it's not quote, quote, real. Because anyone that's had a lucid dream, and a lucid dream means you know you're dreaming, but it feels real. You smell, you hear, you taste, you feel, you know. I've had full-blown conversations with people in my dream state, and I remember every word. Dream state is the energy realm. They do exist. Hell does exist in the energy realm. It's not a fun place. It actually made me cry when I went there, because I couldn't believe the torture and the torment. Because I don't understand that, but I had to understand it. Heaven exists as well. Does it exist in the material plane? Yeah, it can, as a perspective. Does heaven exist in spiritual? Yes. Yes, it does. It looks like dome building things, like bubble things, gardens. It's gorgeous. There's these beautiful gates. It is just an amazing place. I've been to both, as if I'm living the experience, or I'm experiencing the experience just like I'm experiencing the experience here. Both are true. Both exist. Whether that's here in your physical form during this particular life that you are living, or once your spirit, which is housed in your form, once that leaves and goes out into the spiritual realm. Those of you that consciously astral travel, you see spirits, you see ghosts, you see entities, you understand what I'm talking about. This stuff has existed before humans were even a thought. Humans love you, though, because necessary in order to create change, but not the end-all be-all. The human race is about to go through somewhat of a rude awakening, because when they start to see angels in full form here, like in the material plane, which has never happened before, not in full form, they've come in spiritual form. People talk to angels all the time, but in 3D, nope. When they start to do miracles here in the 3D, that's going to be cool. Never happened before. Angels that came from heaven, because their heavenly body, are in a material form. That energy, that essence is coming into a material form, and it's taking over. I talked about that in my last video about my higher self, my greater self coming into me and saying, this is my body. I forget what the term is that they call that. I don't remember. Taking over somebody's body. I don't know. But that's heaven and hell. Does heaven and hell exist in the spiritual? Yes, because the spiritual exists. Your greater self exists. Does heaven and hell exist here in your physical reality? Yes. It's based on your perspective, but it goes a little deeper than that. It's based on the evolution of your greater self. That's why you were created. You were created, especially during this time frame, by your greater self to heal wounds of your greater self, to evolve, to help your greater self evolve out of this extreme polarity of extreme negative and extreme positive. Both are toxic. That's your extreme empath and your narcissist. Those are extremely toxic. They don't get along. That's not a good environment to live in. We're going for unity. We're going for massive change into something that we've never seen before. It's understanding heaven and hell, understanding extreme negative, extreme positive, integrating those two perspectives, those two concepts into self, and then being a master over all of that. What does that mean? A master over my conscious mind, over my subconscious mind, over my emotions, and over my physical reality. And understanding and knowing that I am connected, if I so choose, I am connected into source, as my power, which allows me to have dominion and the ability to control the matter. How do I control the matter? I control it with my mind. How do I do that? I just think it, and it is. And if you're not in control of yourself, somebody or something else is, especially here. And that's what we're trying to come out of. But a lot of people are so conditioned and programmed here that they are having a hard time even being willing to accept other perspectives. And that's where we've got to start focusing. Well, my main goal was talk about heaven and hell. Heaven and hell, again, it exists. It is there. I see the purpose. Like if you've done something wrong, you need to pay for what you've done and evolve. Do you go to rehabilitation to do that? Yeah, well, it's our jail here. Does our jail system rehabilitate people? No. It just makes them worse. It's not working. Hell's not working either. Guess what? Heaven isn't either. So we need to find another way, which is why we're finding a third option, which is to understand all of it and be all of it and go back to divinity. But anyway, if you have any questions, hopefully that made sense. And I love you. Have a good night.